For the purpose of this assignment, I will discuss the benefits of understanding psychology and behaviour within the public services and the benefits it has on personnel and the actual services. For the next part of my video, I will just outline 4 different behaviour styles which acts as the basis of understanding psychology and different behaviours which may occur within a workforce. The first one I will discuss is aggression. This is most likely to occur as frustration acts as a stimuli which triggers the aggression. Aggression is if someone ignores the right of others and its intention is to harm others. Each person has different ways of channeling how they feel and how, when they get frustrated within a work environment, this may reflect in the body language and the way they act towards others, as mostly also seen by facial signs. A lot of aggression can be seen on the face, frowning, pursing lips, and the eyes can be used to gaze for a long period of time. Avoidance behaviour. This behaviour is when a person may have anxiety and this causes them to feel very anxious when they are put into situations which they are not most comfortable with. So in order to avoid these situations, they use avoidance behaviour to try and avoid situations which they do not feel comfortable in. A person may set barriers to control and manage their anxieties, and they may avoid going places or zones which they don't feel comfortable in. This behaviour style, it includes body language, which someone tries to avoid eye contact. They try and make themselves as small as possible in order not to get noticed. This is not an uncommon behaviour style within the public services, as sometimes in work environments someone may get bullied or they do not feel as socially interactive as other colleagues, and they might use avoidance behaviour in order to get out of the situation. Avoidance behaviour can be quite dangerous within the public service workforce, as they need to communicate with the public and need to deal with the public and need to be aware of different situations, and in order to do so they have to interact and be assertive with the public, which comes to my next behaviour style. Submissive behaviour is when someone ignores your rights, and this is most likely a behaviour style where you'll be taken advantage of by superiors or colleagues which have a more dominant behaviour style. Assertive behaviour is a very important behaviour style within the public services. It is where someone can control their emotions within situations and have a firm manner, yet be accommodating towards others and understand and respect the needs of others. And this is really important within the public services, as they have to deal with the public and have to be accommodating, yet show that they are there to do their work. It is quite beneficial for the public service to understand psychology and behaviour. This has a very wide variety of benefits to the services itself and them as employers. They'll be able to identify areas which needs training in order to provide staff to interact on a different level with the public. So, for example, the police will use assertive training methods to build on these qualities, which will in order them to deal better with the public and interact with the public better. It also gives them the basic understanding of the needs of their employees, so it kind of overlaps with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which I talk about later on in this video. This is quite important because employers have to understand that their employees have lives outside of work, and they have to be able to accommodate this as well, which can be hard in the public services as work becomes their life. So they have to understand this and support their employees. It also builds on other factors such as leadership and employee development. So by knowing what these different behaviours are, they are able to use certain employees for specific roles, which can create opportunities for employees to develop into better roles, so promotions and things like that. As for the employees itself, it gives them these different types of behaviours give them different skills and insight into how to deal with the public, as well when it comes to difficult situations that they might be in. This can help them. For example, the police use assertive behaviour, aggressive behaviour and avoidance behaviour. So for their assertive behaviour, they always have to interact with the public, be assertive and just do their job really. As for aggressive behaviour, this will be used in situations such as riots and strikes and perhaps even marches. So they have to show their presence and just try and keep the situation under control. Avoidance behaviour might be used by them if they are in a situation where they need more backup, or which can be dangerous if they were to use either assertive behaviour or aggressive behaviour. So avoidance behaviour could be used for a short period of time just in order to gain control over a situation. It is also beneficial for employees to understand behaviour and a part of psychology, as as in the public services there'll be quite close teams, which becomes, your colleagues become like your family. So understanding this may help you identify different factors which occur in your fellow colleague, and this can prevent them from developing subternal personalities or things such as depression and things like that. So it just gives them that basic understanding how to support your fellow colleague. And then just another example of where these behaviours are used in the public services will be the army. The army has to be aggressive when it comes to new trainees. This builds team morale, and just gets the new trainees to be submissive to higher authority. It is important for higher authority to establish grounds by being aggressive but also being assertive, and it is important that there isn't avoidance behaviour within new trainees, as this could lead them not being part of the group. So they have to show submissive behaviour, but they also have to be assertive in a manner as for showing that they can do their work, they're not afraid to do their work, and that will build their moral courage and on different other personal factors. Overall, it's quite important to understand the different styles of behaviour, as this can act as a basis to understanding your workforce and developing your workforce. It can also identify the type of personnel that is within your workforce, and it can be used to develop it into different fields and identify maybe problems which can later occur, such as depression, anxiety problems, and that will enable the services to put something in place in order to support their personnel and perhaps dissolve problems within the services. The benefits of psychology is quite broad and quite extensive, but I shall just outline them basic and then discuss them further within the video. Understanding psychology, it can help deal with conflict within different work environments, as personnel within workforces may have different personalities, different motives and different agendas. It also helps develop self-esteem and helps understand and develop on leaders and natural leadership, and it can be quite important to develop on this within public services, as leadership can be really important to make vital decisions. It also helps develop professionalism and personal development. It also reduces stress and how to deal with stress, as they can have a very stressful job. Understanding behaviours and psychology in the public services is important, as it allows them to penetrate the mental aspect of their personnel, which will allow them to monitor and provide help and possible training to their personnel if needed. It also provides techniques in order to resolve conflict and reduce the amounts of stress that the services have to cope with. It is important for personnel to be aware and understand a variety of different behaviours and the effects that this may have when they have to deal with different situations, and having this understanding will help them diffuse or perhaps control situations which otherwise they won't have the knowledge to do, and this could possibly escalate the situation instead of resolving situations. Understanding behaviour management techniques will prevent conflict within teams, so team building methods can be used, which will help build teams and help different personalities work together in order to achieve something. And behaviour resolution, including Beatrice box, may also be used, and public service organisations, including staff motivation. So the public services have to have award ceremonies and things like that in order to motivate and also applaud their staff, which will make them feel valued and in the long term understand the needs of their personnel. I will now focus on personal development. Abraham Maslow developed the hierarchy of needs model between the 1940s and 1950s in the United States of America. The hierarchy of needs remains valid today and is mainly based on motivating and management training and personal development. Maslow also outlined the responsibility of employers to provide a workplace environment that encourages and also enables employees to fulfill their own unique potential, and so in other words they are able to grow within a work situation and bring their own personal creativity and potentials. This is Maslow's 5-stage hierarchy of needs, which was based on the original module. There's 5 steps or 5 stages, and I'll start from the bottom and just briefly outline what he believes each and every person needs, and basically our basic stage of life really. So the first one is physiological needs, which is our basic needs. We need air to enable us to survive, we need food, drink, we need a place to sleep, We need warmth. So that's your basic, just living needs, basic living needs. The second one is safety needs. We want to feel protected. We want to have stability, limits. We all have limits. And the third one is belongingness and love needs. So I think every person strives to feel as if they are part of a group and as if they are wanted within a group, and the basic love needs is your family and the relationships you build and affection. And within work groups, you want to feel that you belong within a work group, which I think is the most important within all workforces and all services. And the fourth one is esteem needs. We want to feel achievements, and we want to achieve things, which again, within a workforce, you won't be there if you can't achieve and can't meet your responsibilities. And the fifth one is self-actualization, which is personal growth and fulfillment. So according to Maslow, each of us are motivated by our needs, and our most basic needs are inborn. So it's basically something that we are born with, in order for us to fulfill those first stage of our needs. Maslow explained how these needs motivate us all, and if the public services and even the different workforces and personnel understand how these needs work and what they need to do to feed these needs and develop on these needs, and what they can give their employers or what personnel can give their colleagues, this can help build different relationships and also fulfill those needs, which does create motivation, and creates a motivated workforce, which is important. Within the public services, it is important to understand that employees have different attitudes and emotions, and the way they deal with situations, whether positive or traumatic, will fluctuate, and it is quite important that employers know how to deal with this in order to look out for individuals' well-beings and also their mental well-being. Without basic psychology in the public services, it could lead to mental illnesses such as depression due to the nature of their job. Many armed forces personnel and police officers have seen people die or have dealt with situations which haven't been pleasant, and these services have to put measures in place in order to deal with these situations. So they'll have different organizations or different groups within their service which support their workers, even if it just means someone to talk to or someone which can refer them to someone else which can deal with it, or different support networks which are quite important. Depression is most common to occur, as this is a mental illness which can develop in a short period of time, or it can take a long period of time. It can develop through one event or multiple events. So in order for them to deal with it, they have to understand what mental illnesses may occur, and psychology gives them that basic understanding to deal with these situations. If the public services applies positive psychology in workplaces, it's about shifting negative attention away such as stress and job insecurity. So if they apply positive psychology and motivate and build their workforce, they'll have a stronger workforce, because people and personnel will mentally feel stable within their work situations, and they'll just feel happier to go to work and are more likely to perform within work and develop themselves within their work. And this can create a positive working environment, which I think should be every workforce's goal. As understanding the benefits that psychology and behaviour have on the public services and the personnel is quite wide and quite varied. It is important for the public services to understand how psychology works and behaviour, as they'll have to look after their employees and their personnel, which will enable the personnel to interact and deal with the public in the correct manner, because these services are accountable to the government. It will also mean they are accountable to the public, so this is very important. There's different effects that psychology may have on a workforce. Within workforces, colleagues may have multiple different personalities and agendas and things like that. So understanding psychology and how to apply it will help deal with these personalities. So when your personnel is within their work time or their shifts, they will understand that when it comes to work they have to act in a certain manner and also deal with different situations in a very assertive kind of manner. It is also quite important for employers to understand the mental and physical needs, and perhaps put different support systems in place which may help their employees with different mental illnesses or the workload that they deal with, which I will divert onto in just a second. It is also important, or it's also beneficial, to provide training for correct managers, as these managers have to manage these teams and ensure that the morale within teams are good, which will enable them to achieve objectives and create that positive working environment, which Maslow and Rogers comes to their motivation theory. If there's, it brings out the positive potential within different people, and it will help employees find tasks a little bit more enjoyable than what they normally are. So it's quite important for managers to be assertive, be a manager, and provide that leadership, but also to be motivational and encourage your teams instead of being aggressive and being a bully. Another benefit of understanding psychology and behaviour is it can develop self-esteem. People will be likely to grow within different situations and different teams, and creating that positive work environment will create positive teams, as they'll be able to achieve more goals and work together, which will make a person feel valued within teams, and that will develop on that self-esteem and will just reassure them that they are in the right role and that they are doing their role for the right reasons. Understanding the psychology and behaviour as well is beneficial when it comes to reducing conflict or reducing the escalation of the conflict. It is quite easy for different behaviour types to come together and perhaps collide, and different personalities and different ideas. So being able to manage your different personnel and manage the teams you place them in, and identify different leaders and different submissive type behavoured personnel could essentially allow you to balance your workforce in such a manner that you can have teams that work exceptionally well together, instead of putting all employees together and just waiting to see what happens. So knowing what your employees are like, is fairly important on this point, as you can build a very strong team. The benefit it has on the personnel itself is I've mentioned, but I'll just briefly just go over it again. It is quite important for employees to feel wanted within teams, so placing them with the correct colleagues which understand them, and which perhaps have a bit of banter now and then, can reduce stress load and perhaps a bit of workload, as each one will work to their own ability, but you'll also want to help your fellow colleagues, and working within a positive environment you'll likely achieve more and want to move forward and perhaps do more within your work time. The public services also create positive work environments and positive team building, by using outdoor activities and things such as that. It's quite common for the police to use police driving courses, which can be thrilling and exciting for members to bond and get to know one another and things like that. The army use skydiving, rock climbing and things such as that, so this is quite important, and that's the main benefits, is just supporting your employees, which will then create a better work environment, get more work done, and which will then reflect on how they deal with the public and how the public responds to those employees.